Senate has now postponed debate on a controversial record labeling bill. Senators were supposed to take up the measure this afternoon, but because of intense lobbying efforts against it, they decided to wait a while. Part of the protest movement hasn't even made it to Baton Rouge yet. In fact, a local rock and roll radio station encouraged its listeners to gather in Metairie this morning for a protest caravan to the Capitol. And while the turnout was disappointing, they say their message is still the same. They don't want the state to decide between morality and creativity. The bill, already approved by the House, would require warning labels on records with violent or sexually explicit language. The measure would also make those records off limits to minors.
Well, the state Senate today decided the issue of labeling records with offensive lyrics was a bit too hot to handle, at least for now. Strong grassroots opposition plus threats of musician boycotts and canceled conventions prompted sponsors to delay debate. Jana Gross tells us that's music to the ears of local music lovers and artists.
There was a bus there waiting to take them all to Baton Rouge to fight their fight for freedom. What they see is their freedom anyway, to listen to whatever they want without having a label stuck on the front.
Well, we're going to put labels on what we think is causing the drug and alcohol problem and teen suicide in this country. And tell me this, if you take all the heavy metal and rap music away from America, would the drug problem cease? Would it go away? It'd still be there.
This was to be a big caravan to the Capitol, but only a handful of people turned out. And as it also turned out, the Senate decided to wait on this one. The pressure from music lovers and music industry types a little too strong.
And those sneaky politicians managed to move the vote to some other time that they won't tell us, so we'll try to keep you posted.
Rock and roll radio station WCKW has been fighting the record labeling bill. It promoted this morning's bus caravan and for the past several days has been urging listeners to call their senators, enlisting some outside help for the job.
Hi, this is Tom. And this is Fred from Cinderella. We want you to join us in WCKW in the fight against House Bill 154, lyric labeling. Don't let them tell you what kind of music you're going to listen to. Don't let them run your life. This is not cool.
The response here has been big time, they say. They've been spending a lot of their time telling listeners just who their senator is. And they're certainly not alone in the fight, obviously. Enough people inside and outside the state pushed against this to get the issue pushed aside for a while. But its sponsor says he is not giving up.
Rape and incest and murder and suicide and the use of dangerous controlled drugs and illegal use of alcohol, those things ought to be labeled so that we as parents will know what our kids have in their hands.
The industry itself has decided to go with its own lyric labeling system, but the Louisiana Bill would make it a state system and would forbid the sale of labeled records to minors. The measure may soften up a bit before it hits the Senate, though, to make it more palatable to music lovers and music makers alike. I'm Janet Gross, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
Well, the governor is already considering a veto of the labeling bill if it should pass. He's afraid such a law could harm the state's economy.